all take a time out. Let's do a podcast about. We'll sit right back, figure this out. Well, let's do a podcast about. Hello and welcome to Let's Do a Podcast About. Today I'm joined by Daniel, who I'm going to call Dan, and we're doing our topic on beer. At least that's where we're going to start. Now, I don't know about you, Dan, but I am not a beer expert. I just like to drink it. And we probably should preface all of this with drink responsibly. Nobody likes a sloppy drunk or drunk. So, with that said, what's your relationship with beer, Dan?
Hey, Win, how's it going?
Good.
So, yeah, I think beer and I have had an interesting relationship over the years. I would say it started off pretty rough because I didn't really enjoy it at first, uh, due to mostly because I was drinking crappy beer. But over the years, I've actually gained a lot more of a respect of how it's created, but it's also the different kinds that I've tasted in my years of travel. So I've been lucky enough to um, have a variety of beer, and I think I'm starting to finally get a liking and get into a sweet spot of where I can enjoy a beer and be satisfied.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. In
Yeah.
fact, it parallels a little bit of my experience. Yeah, I went to college. I was pretty sure that I
Hmm.
hated beer. In fact, I think all the first semester freshman year, all I would drink was hard liquor. So Southern
Oh,
Comfort was my
yeah.
thing back then. And when
Oh,
everybody would offer me a beer, I'd go, no thanks, I don't drink beer. I might have done
yeah.
that all the way through freshman year.
Yeah.
Now, I know that's probably representative of underage drinking, but this story is just going to get worse. So, when I was in high school, there might be a few parties that we went to where there was beer,
Uh,
and I might
yeah.
have had a little.
I'm
And
glad you I'm glad you brought it up so I don't have to be the one incriminating
well, there
myself.
you go.
So, yeah.
I think it happens. Now I'm a
Yeah.
parent. I'm hoping it doesn't happen this time around. But what I learned was that I didn't like beer, and every
Yeah.
time somebody said, "Do you want a beer?" Sometimes there was the peer pressure factor of wanting to fit in and go, "Sure," because it
Yeah.
seemed like the right thing. I mean, how much media do we see of people being excited to enjoy beer?
Right. Yeah.
But I never liked it. And every time somebody gave me one, they'd tell me, "Oh, I've got this kind of beer," and I go, "It's lost on me. It all sucks."
I
But
used to I used to say dishwater. It
there
all
you
tasted
go.
like dishwater.
But I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, all the beer that you could afford at high school parties and ultimately
Yeah.
college parties for a while was always cheap beer because it was about the
Yeah.
quantity.
Hmm.
So, we had, and listen, there's lots of people out there who swear by this, so prepare to be offended. But beers that I tried and did not like would have been things like Rolling Rock, Keystone. How about you? What
I
were the first beers you tried?
My first ever beer that I tried, obviously at a high school party, but similar to your story, where you just didn't want to be that guy in the room to say no to a drink, right?
Yeah.
And you're not just getting the peer pressure from the guys; you're also surrounded by girls and guys, and you don't want to be that one guy who's like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Like, fine, all right, give me that Bud Light, right? Whatever.
Right.
Cool little blue can. Like, oh yeah, like all the guys around me pumping me up and saying like, hey man, this is cool, this is good stuff. Followed up with a beer pong game. So uh, it just never was the drink of choice for me. Luckily, I
Right.
was pretty good at beer pong naturally.
Well, lucky you.
Um, so I think I would even say in the beginning I was a lot better sober than I was under the influence. I think the
Yeah.
more the more you find yourself drinking, the more your aim kind of goes out the window. So
Yeah.
I was able to impress with my beer pong skills, but unfortunately my beer drinking skills weren't the same.
Well,
Um,
I think that's funny because, we all like a good game. And,
Yeah,
I mean, have I played drinking games? Sure, I have. But in
yeah,
some
yeah,
ways, I kind of think that those early drinking games were what you had to do to be able to drink the crap because it
yeah.
wasn't any good. And
Right, right.
yeah, I really think the media portrayed a lot of everybody's enjoying beer. Are you excited to have this cold one? It's beer o'clock.
Yeah,
And
it's beer
there's this
o'clock.
expectation, right?
Yeah, yeah. God, I mean
So,
the adrenaline you would have after making a last cup and, just chugging the beer just for the
uh huh.
fun of it.
Yeah.
That was probably when I was consuming more beer than I'd like to have. But I mean, going back to that first Bud Light, I just remember thinking how terrible it tasted,
Yeah.
and I just remember thinking like, I couldn't say anything about it, obviously, because you don't want to be that guy. But I look around and no one else is making the same face as me, so I was convinced like, hey, it must be just me. Like I might be the guy who's allergic to beer. But
Sure. Well,
go
and I remember my most ridiculous was probably doing a keg stand. Have you ever done one of them?
oh yes, yes,
Freshman year, I
unfortunately.
remember doing a keg stand. And I
Oh,
swear,
that's
I
awesome.
must have gotten like up to around 30 or something. Because,
30
there was some
seconds?
applause as I
Wow.
was coming back down. And it's
Yeah,
the coming back
yeah.
down part I don't remember all that much. But the count I remember.
See, that's really impressive because I was never good at keg stands. I
Yeah, they
just
had somebody
didn't.
holding your feet. It's not like I did one
Yeah,
on my own.
exactly. Right, right, exactly. Yeah, even with someone holding my feet, I just
Really?
never, I just never liked that influx of flow of
Uh
beer
huh.
into your mouth, and it's like I didn't
Right.
like the taste, so that didn't really help me.
Sure.
And I mean, you're also upside down. How often are you drinking anything
Yeah.
upside
So
down
let me
outside
ask
of
you
the
then,
keg
what
stand?
about like a gravity bong, one of those beer things with pouring it in through the tube? You ever do that?
Yes, sort of. So I don't think I've done too many of those. I've probably
It's
done
like
a
everything
couple
was like
more
once
keg
for me.
stands. Yeah, like couple more keg stands than I did a gravity bong like that. But
Uh huh.
yeah, the gravity bong was not really my favorite either. I would always just leak it out, and when no
Sure.
one was
It's
looking, I
all
would
over your
just put
shirt.
it aside me. Exactly, like try to not get it
Yeah.
on my clothes and put it
Yeah.
away.
It's not the most
Uh,
glamorous way to drink. When you think
it's
about like
definitely
how
not.
cool you look while you're doing it, you might be cool to your friends, but your immediate thought afterwards is how cool you are to the girls. And
Yeah, yeah,
I'm going to
yeah,
guess
yeah.
with a whole bunch of beer all over you, you're not that cool.
You're not that cool.
In
No,
fact, you
no,
don't
no.
usually see very many girls doing those.
You know what? Surprisingly enough, I was going to say the opposite.
Really?
In my,
Parties are different.
I would say maybe high school and
Uh huh.
not too many of the college ones, but definitely in high
Oh.
school, the girls were definitely doing the gravity bongs more,
Oh, really?
and the guys were the ones doing the keg stands,
Gosh,
right?
I think
So
I might not have been to enough high school parties because, yeah, I had those and I saw that stuff, but
yeah,
all the game stuff, like keg
right.
stands and gravity bongs and so forth, were all things that I first experienced in college.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I actually more of the keg stands were in college, but
Uh
I
huh.
think Gravity Bong was just an easier way for people to just I guess the
Sure.
girls to drink in high school at that time. But
Oh,
I also noticed that as the longer you went into college, like let's say sophomore year, junior year,
uh
the
huh.
games got more elaborate. So you were
Sure.
doing flip cup, you were doing slap cup, and you were doing different varieties of drinking games where it was starting to get interesting. Still drinking very bad
Yeah.
beer, but we were at least enjoying the time of drinking trashy fluids.
So we're almost 10 minutes in and nobody's actually had one beer yet. So
Oh, there you go.
I'm whipping out the butterfly knife bottle opener, a gift from
Oh,
my kung fu
nice.
instructor. But let's
Yes,
go to
please.
what was the first beer that you had where you liked it? And how'd that happen?
The first one that I liked it. Huh. Okay. So taking it back to a little before COVID, maybe a
Wow.
year or two prior to COVID,
So you
it
really hated
was.
beer for a long time
I
because
really
COVID
did.
wasn't all that long ago.
I really did. Yes, I really
All
did.
right.
I really did. Yeah, and I was on a trip to South Africa,
Okay.
and I
Well,
was in
this
Cape Town.
sounds like a great story.
Yeah, exactly. I think once I started expanding my horizons of
Uh-huh.
trying international beer, that's when I really started to like it.
Really?
Yeah, there's this type of beer called Castle, or I guess they call it Castel, or
Okay.
however you like to pronounce it.
Hmm.
But I was at a sports event, and that was the only beer they were serving.
Okay.
And
Wow. Very different.
they very different. Yeah, they had different varieties of it. So Castel also makes a very strong stout, closer to like a Guinness.
Sure.
They make a light beer, and they
Hmm.
make a standard, kind of a normal type of beer. I went for the normal, and I
Mm.
really liked it. I found myself drinking maybe two to three in the first hour.
Hmm.
And I was really having a great time, and
And
it was
wait a minute. So, sporting event. What was the sporting event?
it was actually a cricket game.
A cricket game. All right.
Yeah, yeah, it was. Yeah, so it was a cricket game. It was England versus South Africa. It was the
Hmm.
men's team,
Hmm.
and it's what they called a ODI match. So one day international is what they stand for, right?
Okay.
So had a few beers within the first hours. Obviously, I was with a couple buddies, and they're also from very different backgrounds as well. So
Sure.
some of them were British, some of them were Australian.
Hmm.
Some of them were from India, some of them from Sri Lanka. So
Hmm.
they had a vast background, and all of them seemed to be going for this castle. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna give this a try. There
Okay.
was obviously hard liquor on the menu as well.
Hmm.
This match was definitely going to last about over 5 hours, so I wanted to pace myself. So I was thinking, you know what? Maybe I always remember the line from college where beer before liquor never gets you sicker. And so I was like, you know what? Let me just give Castle a try. And that's when I really started liking beer. I think the first
Wow.
real memory of when I
In
started
South
liking beer
Africa, at a
in
cricket
South
tournament.
Africa
A
at a
very
cricket game. Yep,
international like set of friends that you're with too. These were
yep,
all
yep,
friends.
definitely. These are all friends and
Okay.
teammates.
Great.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I obviously play cricket as well. So I play in a team with a lot of guys from
Yeah.
different parts of the world, and they
Wow.
they all seem to enjoy a beer. And
That's pretty
to be
great.
fair, beer is also very big in the cricket culture.
Oh,
It's
really?
very standard for you to finish a game of cricket or finish a practice session of cricket and just sit down in a circle with the boys, chit chat, have a beer.
No idea.
Um,
Well, that
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense,
So
though. I mean, it happens here in baseball. Now,
right.
this is going back a little bit, but do you happen to remember any in this international group? Did
Hmm.
anybody have any sentiments on American beers that you'd learned not to like, perhaps?
Huh. Not necessarily. I don't think we
No.
ever brought up American
Didn't come
beer,
up.
and I think that shows to the standard of American beer at the time,
Well,
or
I
maybe.
mean, to be fair, there are people who love this stuff. And when I'm
Yeah.
at a sporting event here, seeing baseball, I'm
Hmm.
used
Yeah.
to there not being very many choices. So I would pick
Yep.
Coors Light. Of all those
Hmm.
American watery beers, Coors Light
Yep.
would be my favorite. And they're very endearing to me that they have that temperature sensitive paint. I love watching the color change. But it's never the beer I'll reach for. I always have one up in the fridge in case somebody comes by and that's what they want.
Yeah.
But I really think that where a lot of the world has been used to less watery beer. We're
Yeah.
just going to say
Yeah.
less watery. It's not necessarily good or bad. You might love your Budweiser, and good for you. They're a very
Yeah.
successful brand. But
Yeah.
less watery beer is a thing that
Yeah.
most of the rest of the world is drinking. But I think that microbrew culture that we've been seeing developing over the years here in the U.S. has really started to broaden the palate of U.S. drinkers and trying different beers. And now
Yeah.
people seem to have conversations with it a lot, sort of like wine.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. And now remind me again. So I've only been to one baseball game about 7 years ago, so I
Okay.
don't remember exactly how I had it. But
Uh,
do they serve beer in a cup or in a bottle or in a can?
Always a plastic cup because you never
Always
want
a
the
plastic
rowdy
cup.
sports fans throwing glass.
Okay. Yeah, see, now that's a difference from cricket matches because
Really?
cricket matches they served it from the bottle.
So that's interesting because, like, when you think
Yeah.
about, I'm sorry now for Americans, soccer, and for the rest of the world, football,
Football.
you hear about these, like,
Yeah.
sort of rowdy cultures, right? Where, like,
Yep, yep.
things can go wrong and
Hmm.
they're still serving glass bottles.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wow. In the
I know.
U.S.,
I know.
we're pretty sure we're going to have a lot of people getting cut.
I mean, that's the thing, right? They call cricket a gentleman's sport for a
Uh-huh.
reason.
Um,
I would like to think that's why.
that could be.
uh, we're definitely not like hockey players where they go at it until they
Sure,
see blood.
sure.
We're definitely not like soccer players where they can potentially tackle someone or trip someone over.
Yeah.
We're definitely not like football where it's contact sport.
Mm-hmm.
So it does get very heated at times, but I don't think there's been a time where um, I want to even say ever in an international cricket game where someone has thrown a punch.
Not a lot of
Um,
riots.
Not a lot of riots, no.
Yeah.
There is one specific riot that did happen, but it did
Really?
happen in 96. I want to say
Uh-huh.
94, somewhere between 94 and 96,
Anything to do with
where
beer?
nothing to do with beer, but
Okay, what triggered it?
they were throwing trash
Okay. Uh-huh.
towards the players and towards the ground.
But nobody
Uh,
threw
you
a
know,
glass bottle.
I'm sure a glass bottle was
See?
in there,
Seems
but
dangerous.
it was in there. But I mean, it was quickly mitigated. So
Quickly
everybody
mitigated.
were quickly mitigated.
They had a big net.
I would say within 20 30 minutes. It was calmed
Everybody
down.
settled down.
Everybody settled
Did
down.
the game
It was
continue?
because the game did continue.
Oh my
Exactly.
god.
Yeah, I know. The
Here
game
everybody's
continued.
getting kicked out and the tear gas is going
Everybody,
off.
exactly. And it was a particular crowd that was in I guess, the grass lawn area.
Yeah.
It's probably good to assume that they were probably the drunkest out of all the
That makes some
attendees.
sense.
Uh, and they're sitting out there in the hot sun. They
Right.
don't have seats. They get a little angsty.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, and their team was very badly losing in a
Oh,
semifinal
the
after
loser
doing so
started it.
well. Yep, the loser started it. It
And
was
when the
definitely a
game
losing
resumed, did
team.
they still lose?
They still lost. Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
unfortunately, yep, they still
All right.
lost.
So,
Luckily, it didn't hit any of the players, and
yeah.
it went about. People lived on to tell the tale for another day.
All right. Well, there you
Yeah,
go. All right. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. My
yeah,
first realization that I liked beer. I was a sophomore in college, and my roommate had said to me, hey, like, would you like a beer? And I explained,
yeah.
I don't drink beer. He goes,
Mm-hmm.
really? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, what beers have you tried? And now this might have been the smartest question that anybody had asked me to that point. I'd done a year of college, so I'd had college professors, but this was the smartest question. He said, what kind of beers have you tried? And I explained, oh, I've had Rolling Rock, and I've had Keystone, and I've had Budweiser, and all these watery beers, and oftentimes the cheaper beers, Schlitz,
Yep,
right? And
yep,
he
yep.
goes, well, a lot of people don't like those beers. Have you ever tried? Now we are up in upstate New York, so when you're up there or you're very close to the Canadian border, lots of Canadian beer. So he goes, have you ever tried a Molson Golden? I said, what? And
Oh,
he's like, just try Molson Golden. I said, fine, but I'm not going to like it. So I opened my Molson Golden and I go, holy crap, this is beer? And that was the moment. We went from that to, well, maybe you'd like a Molson Canadian. And have you tried Labatt's Blue? Ooh, Labatt's Blue Ice. What
oh,
about Labatt's Blue Light? Now, Labatt's Blue Light, I have a soft spot. I'll still have today. Most of the
okay.
rest of them, like on occasion. I don't really have
Do
the
they
taste
come in a
for ice
bottle or a
anymore.
can?
What's that?
Do they
Oh,
come
these
in
are all in
do they,
bottles.
bottles?
Which
Ah,
apparently
there you
also made a
go.
difference, though. I
Yes.
hear a lot about, well, the bottle is so much better than the can, but there's I think we said there's a lot greater beer
Yep.
experts out there than us. I don't know. I
That is
can't really
true.
tell the
That is
difference
true.
mostly, but I buy the
Yeah.
bottle sometimes.
Yep.
So
Yep.
anyway, I
Yeah.
got tried on Canadian beers, And then I started traveling around. And the more I started traveling around, the more I was trying different beers. And I found I really like beer. And they'll have different kinds of beers. But I think that brings us to kinds of beers, right? There's lots of different kinds, and knowing what they are and what the nuances are is a little bit of an art that I don't necessarily have down. I know if I order an IPA,
Right.
I like an IPA on occasion.
Yeah.
One of the questions that I'll always ask is, did they make it fruity? Right? Because
Now,
the second that they start adding in, well, it has hints of currant, and it's like, look, I understand that, we're likening beer to wine in our culture a little bit, but
Yeah.
personally, I'd like it to taste like beer.
Yeah.
But then again, I have a horrible palate for wine tasting. When I go to a wine tasting, I like to do this from time to time. I learn a little bit, and I get to watch a whole lot of people pretend they know a lot about wine. So they go around the room and they go, what are you tasting? And they go, well, it reminds me of a summer day, freshly cut grass, a little bit of, maybe we're near the shore at my grandmother's, and there's a little bit of a hint of sea air. And is that blackberries? Really?
Yeah.
Then they come around to me and they go, what do you taste? It tastes like wine.
Tastes like wine.
But you get to drink some and get to watch the show, and it's fun watching it because every time that they get to the next person, they feel like they need to be a bit more elaborate than the person before them. So they keep going on with these wild stories of what it tastes like.
Yeah.
In any event.
Now, I guess let's. That's a good segue into the styles of beer. Do we want to
Sure.
talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
So we have pilsners, we have IPAs, we have stouts,
Right.
we have sours, and we have wheat beers.
Yeah.
Now,
And I think
you
keep going.
made it.
Lagers are in there, right?
Yeah, lagers are in there and all that stuff. So I think you made it pretty clear that you prefer an IPA, correct?
I'll have one on occasion, but it's a lot of IPAs have a high alcohol volume, so
Yeah.
I like to have one because when I have a few, I start to really feel it. So I prefer something that's in between. What I'll call that is in the stout category, something heartier. And then there's the watery stuff. I like to be somewhere in the middle. So for me, I prefer the Pilsner or the lager if I have a choice. And that brings me to a beer that I just purchased yesterday. This is a Helles beer, which is a style from Munich, as far as I know it. And it's quite good. It's not quite a wheat beer. I find oftentimes wheat beers are a little bit fruity again. Maybe a little bit too much.
Now, have you had this one before? And where do you remember having this for the first time, if you had?
Well, this is Augustener Brau, if I'm saying it right. And I think I have because I've never been to Munich, but I was in Berlin. And in a lot of places that I traveled, you'd find these Brauhouses, but particularly in Germany. And I'd been to a place that I believe was an Augustener Brauhaus. And, when I was looking at the list, I was like, oh, this Helles beer sounds like something I've never tried. It looks like it's a big thing. It says Munich. So I tried it and I said, wow, that's pretty cool. So it's on the list of things I like. But I'd been recently to, I just got back actually from a weekend of glamping. We got a cabin with air conditioning because that's what my girls like. And we'd gone to this country store, grocery store, and this town that is in North Georgia called Helen. And Helen has this style of a Bavarian influence. They've got some kind of a Bavarian twin city. So they've painted a bunch of buildings brown and white, and there's a bunch of German restaurants and German beers. And that's all pretty cool. But then they somehow match that with the true Southern style of tubing and Mexican restaurants. And then there's like a Dutch gift shop because we don't know the difference. And this country store had this wonderful selection of German beers that I've ever seen. I'm going to put the picture up. And It was incredible, all the stuff they had. They actually had some mini kegs. I thought about getting that, but I'm like, who's going to drink it with me? I can't
I'm just
drink
gonna
them.
drink it with
I'm
you.
going to do a mini keg stand. so, so I just got a few, and I was really excited to get something different. Although we had a soldier down on the way back. I was wheeling in one of the coolers, and the handle popped off, and everything
Okay.
spilled out, and one of the beers broke. So when I just
Oh.
opened this, I was playing what I like to call Beer Hunter, and you'll notice it did not explode. So I'm hoping the rest of them are in good shape. But I did lose one, and that was sad. But Helen, Georgia, if you happen to be in the area, it is fun. Go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
You get a good brat. You get some nice beers. Some people drink out of boots. I've never drank out of the boot. That's a curious thing. Let's talk about that for a second. Have
Oh.
you ever drank out of a boot?
Yes, I have
Tell me
actually.
about that.
Out of actually a cricket boot.
A
So
cricket
again,
boot. What is that
taking
different from a regular boot?
yeah, I mean, I guess it's a different way of calling. So we were essentially we were cleats, right?
Okay.
But instead of calling it cleats, because that's definitely a football term,
Uh-huh.
or Americans like to call it soccer. But we refer to them as our cricket boots.
Sure.
So we, uh, taking this story back to South Africa, there was actually a lot of first in South Africa. So, going back to Cape Town,
Uh-huh.
we went to this historic cricket club that has been around since I think the late 1800s.
Mm.
And they started off by playing with the local farmers because that general area in Cape Town was all farmland. So what the farmers did is they got together over the weekends. They wanted to get away from their wives and children and house responsibilities and play some cricket for
Sure.
about 7 hours a day and have a great time and have some beer afterwards with their mates. And
All right.
part of the culture is if you so after we played the game, we sit around with both teams and we chit chat about what went right, what went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There is a standing rule that anyone who on that date of the match is wearing brand new boots, they have to drink a beer out of it. Yeah, and this is after 8 hours of sweat and gunk and everything that's
Oh.
built up in the brand new boot.
Uh-huh.
Part of the culture and also part of having good luck for
Wait a
your
minute. I'm just getting
ongoing
this.
games.
You
Yeah.
drinking the beer from the shoe that they've been wearing.
No, so it's yourself. So the person wearing the brand new boot. So I myself had
Oh
purchased
my
boots
gosh.
2 days beforehand, and you don't know this rule till after the game.
Well,
So
that's the way it should
you
be.
you wear you wear the cricket boot, have a great game or
No
have a
way.
terrible game in my sense,
Uh-huh.
and afterwards get told that hey, part of the rule is bring up whoever is wearing brand new shoes or brand new cricket boots, and come up to the circle and. There is a beer master. They call him the beer master, who is
Uh-huh.
typically the youngest team member in the playing in that game,
Yeah.
and that member is the one pouring out beers for you. So
Oh my gosh.
my beer master decided it was fun to completely fill up my cricket boot
Oh
with
my gosh.
a again a Castle beer.
Uh-huh.
It's like I can't get away from it. But yeah, me and
And
one other kid from England had to chug a a they call it a booty. So they call it
uh-huh.
a booty where you gotta do a oh actually not a yeah it's a shoey. I think it's called a shoey. You gotta do a shoey. So
Shoey.
you call into the chant that the club has, and
Hmm.
so you do the chant, and then you chug the beer that's in your cricket boot that you worn
Sure.
for 8 hours.
All right.
Yes,
Well,
yeah,
I got to hear
yeah.
this chant. Go
I don't
ahead.
remember the chant.
Come
I
on.
don't remember the chant. I
You
know,
don't
I
remember the
know.
chant.
I'll try to get the chant for you sometime, but I don't remember the chant.
All
If I
right.
remembered it, I
It's
would have
not going
said
to
it
help the
with
listeners. But
with
there are chants, and that sounds disgusting. I'm going to add it to the list of things I won't do. Now, how about a proper German boot, though?
yeah.
The glass ones. You ever done one of them?
I think I think so. Yes. I did visit Berlin myself. I was on a trip there, and I just remember a lot of the broad houses were filled with
Yeah.
pitchers of beers and guys smoking cigarettes and enjoying a beer in the broad house.
Yeah.
And it was that, but I don't remember specifically doing a boot or a
Okay.
shoot.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, there are like, big liter glasses in the mugs.
yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But I've been a few places where they'll have the boot, and
Yep.
people do that. Now, my biggest familiarity with the boot comes from a classic movie, Beer Fest from 2006. And what we learn in that movie, spoiler, is to turn the boot as you're heading towards the end of it so the air bubble doesn't cause you to have a problem with spillage. Now,
Oh,
with that said, I think I've had a boot before. I've never chugged the boot.
okay.
I don't really love it. I don't really love giant beers in general. Not because I don't like beer, but
Yep.
because I feel like by the time I'm at the bottom, it's not really that cold anymore. So I
Yep.
remember being in a German themed pub in New York City, and one of these hotshot stockbroker guys is in there drinking from his boot, showing off for his lady friends, and he nudges me as I'm drinking from my half-liter beer, and goes, mine is bigger. And I thought this was a curious way to engage, somebody who's minding their own business, but okay, sure. My response was, yeah, but mine will be cold when I get to the bottom, and then I can just order another.
Yeah.
You're not saving money by getting the boot. So, I mean,
Right.
I
Yeah.
think if you're at, Oktoberfest, or maybe you've gone to Munich for the first time, there might be a moment where you want this boot. Maybe if you're in a beer fest style competition like the movie, then maybe you're going to do that boot. But for the most part, I'd just be happy to have the smaller beer and have it be cold when I get to the bottom. Even when I get the full liter. And
Yeah.
then, I've had a moment where I've tried to get a little bit. It's just too much. I like to maybe drink a little bit slower these days. How about you?
Is it just that last bit that makes it very difficult?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
little bit warmer. It's a little bit flatter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't understand
See,
the appeal.
yeah, I think I enjoy the slow sip method as well because
Yeah,
I think I just had a bad flashback of the last time I did a keg stand, and that's sort of why I don't like drinking fast beer
sure.
because the rush just doesn't feel good. The post stand
Yeah,
feelings are never great.
sure,
You
sure.
know the bubble guts that follow you after are not great. It just it's an
Yeah.
overall mix of just a bad idea.
Yeah, that makes some sense to me. Now, I
Yeah.
remember being in New York City as an intern for Time Magazine, and we
Oh,
used to go
nice.
out to a Japanese grill.
Okay.
And this was the first place that I experienced Japanese beer. So everybody will have the Sapporo. Maybe they'll have the Kirin. But at this place, the big thing was Asahi Extra Dry. And we would get the
Wow.
big bottles of them. We'd have a few big bottles brought onto the table in
Yeah.
small glasses, and we just keep refilling it. So you really lost track of how much you'd had.
Hmm.
And it was fun. There was meat on a stick to be had, and if you have enough of those beers, eventually you try something weird. I remember I tried intestine. I was like, it's pretty chewy. I don't think I'll do that again. But the chicken is great. And Asahi beer, I still have a soft spot for today. I swear, or at least this was the thing that we swore by back then, that you don't get hungover drinking the Asahi beer, which we like and do. It must have something to do with that. It is rather watery, and it's based on rice instead of barley.
Hmm.
The next day, you just have an orange juice, and whatever hangover you might have had gone. Now, I don't drink like that anymore,
Wow.
so
Yeah, yeah,
having
yeah.
how many did I have isn't a thing that I play very often.
Now, is the taste sort of similar
Well,
to the
that's what's
watery
interesting,
beer
right? Because
here?
we started with the
Yeah.
idea that American watery beer is not my favorite,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
Japanese beers are often, or at least in the
Oh,
few that I've tried, are
yeah.
rather watery.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think better flavor for me anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll still do an Asahi if I'm not going at like a some
Yeah.
kind of hibachi.
Does it give you that bloated feeling afterwards after having a few down?
I don't
Or
think it did, but I mean,
huh.
it's been a while since I've done that kind of thing. I, I don't know. I just remember it being a very different thing. It was full of surprises. But then
Yeah,
again, I was
yeah.
eating intestine, so all bets are off. It's
Yeah, hey,
me
listen,
in
I
my
mean,
early 20s.
good food mixed with good beer is always a good night.
Well, that's a great transition. I'm going to be doing another episode on barbecue. I'm a
Oh,
barbecue
wow.
aficionado. I love grilling, and
I love barbecue.
I very much believe that the food pairs very well, which is sort of like a wine connoisseur, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I recall going to Amsterdam and going on the Heineken tour. Heineken to this date
Oh,
is still my favorite beer. It's a kind of a love hate. Some people don't love it. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
But seeing the original brewery, and they had a 3D film at the time, or actually I guess it's like 4D because you're in some seats that are moving, where they
Yeah.
do an animation where you're becoming a beer through the process of brewing. I don't know. It led
Oh,
out into the
nice.
gift shop. Oh, actually, it led out into a bar.
Hmm.
This is one of the best reasons to go. You become a beer. Yeah, you get to see the historic brewery, but they let you out into like a private little bar where they teach you to pour a Heineken, and it's a style with the tap, and then you do the sledge across, and they
Hmm.
show you this whole thing, and everybody gets a chance to do it, and you get a little certificate that said that you've been trained, and you get to sit around this bar with whatever techno music they're playing, and I guess it's EDM now.
Yeah.
And we would drink the beer, and well, eventually you're like, okay, well, I've had a few, I'm ready to go, and it lets
Yeah,
out
yeah.
into the gift shop where you get to get a nice T-shirt. I like it.
Nice.
So it ended up that Heineken is my favorite, but I do like different stuff.
One of my one of my buddies was just in San Francisco, and he just got back from I believe, a bachelor party, and he was telling me about this thing called a brew cycle.
Ooh, what's that?
Now, I think it's a brew bike or a brew cycle. It's essentially a bike where, I think maybe 10 or 12 people can sit around a bike. It's a sort of a round bike where you pedal, and while you're drinking beer, you pedal, and the bike takes you around
Yeah,
the
I've seen
city
these
and
things
gives you a
going
tour.
around. It's got to be
Yeah,
hard in San
yeah.
Francisco though, with all the hills, right? Like, I mean, where is
Yeah,
there
I guess
flat to do it
they
on?
did a route. They did a route where it was more flat, like there was a
They
more
gotta
flat
figure that out
area.
because I think downhill in San
Yeah,
Francisco while drinking is a recipe for disaster.
yeah. It's just not gonna go well.
You get
Like,
right
yeah,
into the lake or the bay.
yeah. I guess they did it near the Golden Gate, and
Yeah.
they were kind of in that area where they were a little bit more on flatter ground,
Okay.
and I want to say they biked for about 3 to 4 miles, and
Sure.
they were having such a great time they didn't even realize that they'd gone three to
Well,
four
hey,
miles.
getting a little bit of exercise while consuming carbs is not so bad, I
Yeah,
guess. Although I'd pay money to see them do it on the crookedest street, Lombard
I
Street,
would
right?
love to see that. Yes, I would love to
Oh,
see that.
oh. You can't
I would
spill, or
love
you
to
got to
see that.
drink. There's a new game.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's that story alone might be worth another podcast episode if they end up doing one of those.
We'll try to do one on
Uh,
location one day.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, imagine doing a podcast on one of those bicycles while biking around, all having a few
Yeah,
beers with
but a
your
lot of them will
mates,
be like,
and
and then,
yeah, surprisingly, because there's so much effort from everyone on the bike,
uh,
it doesn't seem to be too taxing on the body, from what
all
he
right.
said. Now, I must say that he is in quite good shape for his age, and
Yeah.
he does work out pretty often, and he's in the gym at least twice or three times a week, and
Okay.
so that's
There you go.
that
Well, you
that
got to
that's
take
to
care
be
of yourself.
given.
I mean, listen, that's the
Right?
other thing
Yeah.
about beer, right? We hear about the beer gut, beer bellies,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's
right?
true. Yep.
So, going into the gym is the right way to be able to deal with it
Yep.
because it
Yep.
doesn't get
Yep.
easier as you get older. All right. So, what's
Yeah.
your favorite beer now? You have a favorite?
Now, my
Mine was Heineken.
favorite
Yours?
nowadays. Yeah, my favorite nowadays. I think you might already know this, but it's been Bitburger.
Oh,
It's
now,
a
did I introduce you to that?
Yes, you did. Yes, you
Uh,
did. Yeah.
see, good
So
enough.
a
You don't want to
very
steer a friend
nice.
wrong.
a very nice German
It is a
Pilsner.
good beer, right?
So
Yeah.
uh, I had tried a few Pilsners beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
but none that I thought were out of this world. I
Sure.
did enjoy them.
Sure.
I didn't necessarily not like them, but I
Mm-hmm.
think I really grew a liking to the Bitburger German Pilsner, and
Yeah.
it's a very soft yet soothing type of beer, which I
Mm-hmm.
like.
It's crisp.
I don't
It's got like a
exactly,
crisp
yeah,
thing to it. I like that.
exactly. It didn't have that watery feeling, so it's
Right.
like, I enjoyed that, I think.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I can. Uh, and here's a weird thing. I know we talked a lot about the bottles before and how some say that bottles actually taste better than cans,
Yeah.
but I find that the cans in this case taste a lot better than the bottles.
Well, that's
Um,
interesting. Now, if we
yeah,
follow that, then draft is supposed to be better than any of it, right?
right, exactly.
So I
So,
remember
and I've,
traveling through Germany, and well, if you're in the Netherlands, you're
yep,
bound to find a Heineken, right? The
yep,
airport club is full of Heineken stocked refrigerator.
yep,
Maybe I'll have that picture put up here in a bit too.
yeah,
But then when you're in the hotels in Germany, you often find Bitburger, and sometimes you find something called Radaburger, and
Rataburger.
those are like more of the. I suppose they're more of a mass-produced kind of beer over there versus like the smaller brow houses. But
Would you say it's their version of the Bud Light?
well, that's kind of what I was thinking. But like, it's a weird comparison. No, if you maybe you love the Bud Light, and that's good for
Yeah.
you, right? But Bitburger's pretty good. I think what happens a lot, I said Heineken's a love hate kind of thing, is
Right.
people will say, well, it's the hops, it's a little bit too bitter for me.
Yep.
You've tried Heineken, yeah,
Yeah, I have. I have. Yep.
and is it something that you feel maybe something about it you don't like, or you like it?
So here's my rankings of how I go about, right? Like, so obviously my first would be a Bitburger nowadays.
Okay,
Another good one is I love Yinglings.
sure.
I'm not opposed to
Pennsylvania brand.
Yinglings. I really like Yinglings. And then maybe if there was a Corona, I would have that.
Okay, sure. Particularly on
And
vacation.
then yeah, exactly. And at barbecues, I love Coronas at barbecues.
Okay,
And then after a Corona, maybe if there's a Heineken available, I might go for that.
you might go for the Heineken. Okay. How about a Guinness? You ever had one of those?
Can't say I've had too many Guinnesses in my life. I mean, I've probably had, I don't even think I've had a full glass or a full bottle of Guinness because
Oh my gosh.
I've just been so disgusted with the taste. I couldn't do it.
Oh,
I just couldn't do
oh
it.
no.
I couldn't do it.
Oh, come
I
on.
couldn't do it.
Seriously?
I couldn't do it.
Oh,
I mean, it doesn't help that I'm not a big coffee drinker, right? So that's where
coffee?
it originally,
What's coffee got to
that's
do
where
with
it
it?
starts with. This thing tastes like coffee, man.
Oh
Come
my
on,
God.
come on,
I
Win.
feel like you're
You
doing
know
it
this.
wrong. Where the hell does
You-
your Guinness come from?
It comes from the coffee shop.
They, they only serve
It comes
coffee
from the
there.
coffee shops in Amsterdam. All
Yeah,
right.
they only serve coffee. Well, how about a stout in general? Is there a stout that you do like?
No, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you a stout that I really like. I want to say I did have an IPA at a distillery one time that
Really?
tasted similar to a stout. So it was very stout flavored one.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. I didn't finish that cup, so I ended up passing it off to my buddy who loves stouts.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit better tasting than a Guinness taste that I remember. So
Oh
I did
boy.
enjoy it for a little bit, but I felt that it was a little too strong for me. So I was like,
Really?
this is probably a good time to pass it off.
I feel like there's like an entire culture that's just going groaning right now with
Gr-
your assessment of that whole thing. What is wrong with the guy? I was with him for all that time, and the show just went to shit. Yeah, well, we'll have to try to do some on location, beer
Oh
tour
yeah.
on a follow up podcast.
We got to do it. We got to do it, and we can go around the circle, and we can just
There you go.
pretend to be like
There you
those
go.
wine tasting guys who just think they know everything
See
about
what
wine.
kind of stories you can come up with. This beer right here
Yeah.
reminds me of beer. Just tastes like beer.
This beer reminds me of sunflowers.
Yeah. But it has to be like, like some environmental thing where it's like sunflowers. But there's sunflowers in the southern France on a calm day where the sea is just gently like rolling by and there's seagulls in the air and you can almost hear them and they're calling my name and saying, drink more.
Like, how could you
I don't know.
possibly know what a sunflower tastes like?
I don't know. I think maybe the wine that they're tasting is probably laced with LSD because the stories get crazy. But for me, they never do that for mine. So it
Yeah.
just tastes like wine, in this case, beer. Is there a go-to for you if you had to pair your beer with some kind of food?
You know, I would say I haven't had too much of a bad luck with chicken and beer.
Sure.
Specifically grilled chicken or
Yeah.
like, kind of like what we call in our Sri Lankan cuisine as a devil chicken.
All
It's
right. Tell me about
basically
devil chicken.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone knows what deviled eggs are, right? So
Right.
imagine, kind of a spicier version of like grilled chicken or like charboiled chicken, or even like, you would take it and put it into this sauce and add some peppers, add some onions, really get it going. And typically they make it very spicy because it kind of pairs well with a beer or any sort of hard liquor.
Wow.
uh, and that's sort of the culture they come from because they need to have what they call a bite while
I
having a drink
see. Well,
at
that
any
makes a lot
given
of sense.
time.
Now, do you have a
Yeah.
good devil chicken recipe?
Um, I'm sure my parents do, but I personally haven't made one just yet. So
No?
I need to make that. Yeah, I need to
Oh, I
try
think
that. I
so.
need to
Well,
definitely try
if
it.
you have that recipe, go ahead and share it. We'll put it into the comments
Yeah,
or
we'll do.
deep description or whatever the hell goes with a podcast.
We'll do.
And
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
add that for people who are looking. But with that, we've done Let's Do a Podcast about beer. And maybe you've learned something. I don't know I did, but I did drink this and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, how about you? Did you learn anything?
Yeah, I've learned that my take on Guinness is very wrong,
Well,
and
there you go. Everybody's got
I
a
need to.
takeaway. We end up on a happy note. And I don't know, Prost in this case, or perhaps cheers.
Yeah,
What do they say in Sri Lankan when you do a toast?
just cheers.
It's just cheers?
Typically the same. Yeah, cheers on every sip you take instead of just one time and done.
Oh,
Yeah,
they're
yep,
talking
yep,
more.
yeah. A lot
Huh.
more talking. Yep, a lot more
All
talking, and
right.
that's also a good thing because that introduces me to that slow drinking culture rather than
Well, see,
just
I like that personally.
yeah, yeah,
But I'm
yeah,
never
yeah.
drinking out of a boot. That's disgusting.
No, I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it. It was a one and done for me.
All right. Well, thanks for joining. We'll hope to have you back on a future episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Win.
This has been Let's Do a Podcast about today's episode beer.
Be the gross.